Hello, hello, it's Kevin here. Welcome to another essay review. Now, depending on where you are watching this, on Telegram, Apparat, or YouTube, or Bilibili, wherever, I'll just quickly give you a bit of background on what we've been up to here. So, we've been doing Cambridge previous papers, starting from 17, 16, 15, 14 to 13 so far. Academic Task 1. We've done most of the essays from 17, 16, 15, etc. And what we do in the group, I post a task for Cambridge Part 1. I take the first answers and I make a commentary. I write a sample and I compare it to the students' examples, which you may or may not have seen. Anyway, last week, some of the students were asking, can we go back to essays? I said, yeah, okay, sure. So I found a question, the environmental one, about species extinction, and maybe 3 or 4 people wrote an essay. I made a commentary on one yesterday. That was Thursday the 2nd of March, just in case. And today is Friday the 3rd. This is the second in the series. So we'll get on with that. So first things first, disclaimer, as always. Get that out of the way. Fair use teaching, blah, 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 blah. Got the criteria here, if I need to refer to it. And I'll show you my essay first. I won't read it out because I read it out in the previous video. I'll just slowly scroll down. So here it's a discussion, as you see, but here I don't come down on one side. I say actually both are important. Okay, so I'll just slowly scroll down if you haven't seen it before. Yeah, so I say, both these problems are serious. Plant extinction, other environmental issues. I talk about species extinction here. And I say what else I think is important, such as climate change in here, and conclusion. Okay, 295 words. So you can pause this and you can read it. Okay, I'll just scroll up there. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. Now, what did this person do in the Telegram group? Well, we'll see. Now, first thing, this is a little bit long, 357 words, okay? You don't really need that. 300 really is a maximum. That's all that you need. If you're doing 250, 60, you might not be able to properly develop your ideas, but if you're writing over 300, and this also comes down to considerations of time, you don't have time to be writing 350, 400 words like some people do. So apart from the time factor, the more words that you write, the greater the possibility of repetition, of making errors. So I'm just, for practical reasons, in terms of time, because you're only writing for 30 minutes, really, you've got to plan it and leave some time to check it over at the end. So around about 300 or just under, that should be fine, and that's enough to write a good essay, right? To have some good ideas with reasons and examples. So, opinions are divided as to whether or not the extinction of some certain animal plants is a major issue with the environment. Okay, it's not bad. It's undeniable. Now, usually, we don't like people to use this word because you might not be able to prove it. However, I think in this context, it's okay. They don't like you to say it's undeniable and no doubt, and but here it is. So anyway, firm conviction was impression. Now this is good, right? But what would make this outline better is if it actually gave us some idea what these issues were. Okay. So good sentence, paraphrase. That's good. Opinion is clear, more serious issues, but what would make it better is if it maybe gave us some hint as to what those are. On the one hand, somebody's been explained poses several reasons for his nature with this disturbed. Now, right, one thing that I want to say here, I noticed we've got too many of these discourse markers, right? There's one at the beginning of every sentence. And you don't need it. One at the beginning of every sentence, you don't need it. Look. Now, overuse. Now, I'll quickly. Where does it say that about overuse? Yeah, right. Cohesive devices. Cohesive devices. Here we go. Overuse of cohesive devices. So we need to be careful here. Need to be careful. You don't need one for every sentence. Alright? You just don't. If you want to be getting low cohesion and coherence scores, then continue, but you don't really need one for every single sentence. I mean, if we look at this one here, we've got from another angle to commence with. You don't even need that in addition. So we need to try and cut these down, alright? Anyway, on one hand, some bits misses on importance for several reasons. Okay, well, alright. You can simply tell me what those are. First and foremost, balance on that. Right, first and foremost. You need to be careful here because this is a memorized thing, first and foremost. Often it's not the foremost. First and foremost. It's just one. Is it necessarily first? Balance of nature will be disturbed. We're going to that affect others. For example, if plankton seeds become extinct, then will die out eventually. Okay, well that's alright. Okay, but it's talking about right particular species, plants and animals. So what particular species? What exactly is in danger of extinction in today's world? In terms of animals, it's things like, giraffes, elephants, leopards, tigers, all these rare exotic creatures. It isn't fish, it's not cows, it's not sheep or chickens. They're in no danger. So particular species. So what particular species? I mean, like particular species of plants. I don't really know what that would be. There are some. Some rare wild plants. Some orchids. I don't really know how I would talk about that. I'm not an expert on plants, and I don't even mention plants in my essay. I just talk about plants and animals. They say, well, I'm just talking about bees. But so, if planktons and seaweeds become extinct, but would it be all planktons, all seaweeds? It says particular species. So you can have, how many species are there, for example, of spiders? Must be thousands. How many species are there of different kinds of seaweed? Again, must be hundreds, if not thousands. So it's not talking about all species. It says some particular species. All right. Moreover, more biologically diverse ecosystem can be more productive. Therefore, biodiversity loss might reduce the ability of nature. How does nature provide goods and services? How does nature provide that? Some certain species have been used in different applications for the medicine. Right, so I don't think this second idea works. Alright, so if you said, biodiversity, interrelated, if this species dies, it has an effect on this, which has an effect on this, maybe coming up the food chain, affecting us eventually. Okay. Just like saying a great number of fish will die out eventually, without connecting that to us, or why that would be an environmental disaster. Why would that be be bad if there's no fish. Presumably, that would affect human beings as a source of food. So you would have to continue this argument, this idea, not simply say a great number of fish will eventually die. And where does that go? You need to take it further. And then this second one here, biodynamic ability. So I wasn't sure that nature provided goods and services. Some certain species, what species, different applications, what medical activities will probably be restricted. I don't think that example works at all. Okay, that first one, kind of on the right track, but you need to, develop it more, take it further. How exactly would that affect? What's the knock-on effect? If you said, if this dies, this will die, which leads to this, which leads to that, which is a bad thing. Okay, that's how that would work. But that second one doesn't really work. From another angle, you mean on the other hand. If you got on the one hand, on the other hand. Some of environmental problems should take precedence. Now, to commence with. To commence with what? What does that mean? Don't use that. Burning of fossil fuels, greenhouse gases. Right, so, okay, we've got this one here. Okay. This phenomenon should die considered as a case in point. Why is it a case in point? Uninhabitable, we're not too distant. I don't think so. We're not too distant future. Okay, I think that's a bit alarmist. But okay, you could maybe said something about what's global warming, what's it doing now? I mean, it's not going to make the Earth inhabitable in a not too distant future, but it's certainly having impacts on crops, deforestation because of rainfall, crops, deforestation, forest fires, rising sea levels because of melting ice, people being forced off of their land, etc. You could maybe talk about that. But uninhabitable, really? Maybe water that down a bit. Anyway, in addition to disposal of industrial waste, massive contamination activity, this will probably, you have said we have recently witnessed massive contamination. So this will probably result in an environmental catastrophe. So that's kind of more or less saying the same thing. These two problems could harm species. So by solving them, we can help to prevent or at least decelerate their death. So, okay, right. So that idea, not too bad. But again, the Earth is predicted to be uninhabitable. Maybe water that down, right? What's the effects of global warming, greenhouse gases, rising sea levels, etc.? Tsunamis, natural disasters. You can maybe talk about that, but not the Earth is going to become uninhabitable in a not too distant future. How distant are you talking about? Next Tuesday? Or 2050? What does that mean? So, in addition to disposal of industrial waste, okay, pollution, contamination of air and water. So, this will result, or has it resulted? Because you say we have recently witnessed, so you've used present perfect there, massive contamination of air and water. Now, again, where is this? What are you talking about? Any particular country? Any particular examples here? So a little bit vague when you're using this kind of, there has been this, there has been that. Well, tell me where. What particularly? What specifically? If it's too broad, it's not as effective as if you narrow down. Okay, so I'm going to not be neglected. Okay, actually, this essay is not bad. It isn't bad. No. Certainly, there's one or two things that I would change. I say, like in this paragraph too. On one hand, first and foremost, moreover, you don't need a discourse mark at the start of every sentence. Just like here, from another angle. Well, it's not another angle, is it? It's on the other hand. And you've got to commence with. Commence with what? Who actually says that? To commence with, eh? So, and then you've got this a little bit vague. You've got these two sentences which basically say the same thing. Disposal of household waste, massive contamination, So this is one of the things that kind of tends to occur when you're writing over 300 words. If you're not careful, it either goes round and round in a circle, or you're saying the same thing just in a very slightly different way, and it's going round and round. So to keep it tighter, more focused, around about 300 words, I would just have one main idea, a paragraph, right? Not kind of two. I just have one. Yeah? One main idea, a paragraph, and develop it more. So if this dies, the knock-on consequences that this would happen, which in turn, for example, would lead to this. Therefore, we can see that this would equal, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's all you need. So you've got two different ideas, a paragraph, and neither one is properly developed to give a focal point to what, we can see what you're trying to say, but it's not as focused as it could be if it were shorter and tighter, more concise. One idea, this leads to this because of this, which equals that. That's all. That's all you need. The criteria. Talking about if it's too general. So you need to develop relevant, fully extended and well supported ideas. And you can see the less developed your ideas, the lower the task response score. Too general, unclear, unjustified, repetitive, right? Yeah. So insufficiently developed, you say this equals this. Okay, but this equals this. This particular thing equals this. This particular species results in this, which results in, So it's all about the ideas, how well you develop them. So really, I would stick, unless it's something like advantages and disadvantages question type, and have one main idea. Expand on that, explore it. 3, 4 sentences about that one main idea, and you'll certainly get a better task achievement score. Okay, right, I've got to go. Got some students coming in 5 minutes time, so I hope that helps. I'll say not too bad. Just 1 or 2 little things I would maybe change. So I hope that helps, is useful, and I'll probably make another video at the weekend. See how it goes. What I've got time for. So catch you later.